Okay, so let's get started on page 49. So before I can really dig in on these actual examples and explaining what's going on here, we have to just talk about right hand classical guitar technique in general. So remember, the right hand, the thumb is P, I, M, A. If you speak Spanish, this is easy for you because it's pulgar, índice, medio, anular. Okay, so P, I, M, A. And this is not my system, this is the universal system. The whole world uses this, okay? What we're going to do for this piece is get our hand in the correct position for arpeggios. So let's just pick the inner four strings because this is how example number 1 starts out. Okay, so it's going to be the A, D, G, and B strings with my P, I, M, and A. Few things to notice. You'll take a look, you see that my wrist is not flat. Okay, I'm not collapsed down like this. So I don't have a pinky on the face of the guitar like this. Okay, so my wrist is arched up. You can see that if you took an egg, you could stand it underneath my wrist here. So that's something I tell my students, to pretend that they're holding an egg underneath your wrist, and this would crush it, okay? The reason why we want to do that is with this position, you can see that my fingers are, not exactly straight like this, but they're extended naturally if I relax my hand. Okay, a lot of students flatten out, and then you're only able to pick from this knuckle. And we really want to feel the origin, the beginning of your stroke coming from this knuckle on your palm. This moves, just like when you walk from your hip, but your knees move, right? We want to feel the strength coming from here, but this will move as well, of course, but we want to have that arch. Okay, so we've got the arch. Now, you'll notice my thumb is out in front of my fingers, okay? So I'm not like this, okay? I'm like this. Okay, it feels comfortable, nothing hurts. Okay, I'm not doing anything unnatural, but I'm not doing this. So it may be a little bit unnatural to turn your hand back like this, but I like to play with my thumb out beyond my fingers. Okay, so that if I do a thumb stroke, it's not landing or hitting, my other fingers really. Maybe a little bit on the side, but it's not like this where it'd be coming up to the inside of your palm. So it's like this. This is what your hand does naturally in the air, so just drop it down. Okay, so I'm arched up. Now, when you do the thumb stroke, let's just to start, before we even get into these actual examples, let's just try stroking each string one at a time. As I do the thumb, I'm just going to push down lightly. And if you leave your other fingers down, it's a great independence exercise because you'll feel, these are connected by tendons. So when we have the other fingers down on the strings, it forces you to really move independently. So first I just do a few strokes on the A string just to get used to that motion. Down with the thumb. Now I'm going to do the index finger. I still have the other 3 down. Okay, I've got my thumb, my middle, and my ring finger down on the A, G, and B strings. And I'm just going to do a few index finger strokes. You'll notice that this is coming back in. Okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not plucking up or out. You don't want to do that. Okay, you want to come back. And for now, if you want to reset, you can. I'm exaggerating the motion. You don't come up like this. You want to have it to be a nice little motion. You can reset down, or you can just strike again from the air like this. Put my index finger down, middle finger, again, notice that this is coming back, pushing in. My fingertip is moving towards my palm, not up like that. Okay, so again, just a few of these, a few of these. And what's going to feel the weirdest is the B string with your ring finger, because this is the weakest one, and also really is the least independent, along with your pinky. So you'll feel your other fingers wanting to move, which is why it's a good exercise. You can see my pinky is moving, but it's a good exercise to do with these fingers down. Okay, then you can do it with just one after the other. And you can put your fingers back down each time if you'd like. Or you can do them just from the air. So let me give you a side view, a little bit of what it looks like, just so you can see. Okay, so it's... I gave you those inner 4 strings because that's what the exercise starts on, but it's more musical if you move to 6, 3, 2, 1, because now we have an E minor chord. Once you get comfortable with this, being able to arpeggiate chords is super useful. and we don't always arpeggiate them. An arpeggio is when you take a chord like an E minor, and instead of just strumming it all at once, you break it up. It's really a great technique to have in your repertoire. And I also, later, the same fundamental positioning, same fundamental technique comes in really handy with not just arpeggiating, but any kind of stuff that you can do with this, right? So years of practice ahead of you. Let's take a look at page 49. On page 49, what I have here are 8 examples. They're going to use the chords A minor and C major, we've already learned. If you want to practice these extensively, if you want to work on your right hand extensively, I actually use the mute quite a bit more than I use chords because your left hand will start to hurt. So this is something that you can purchase anywhere. This is a guitar mute, not anywhere, at a specialty guitar store. And you just slide it back here, and then it's easy to practice these techniques without worrying about hurting your left hand. Okay, but for now, let me show you what's actually here in the book. But just be aware if your left hand starts to hurt, to take a break. So the first 6 examples are 4 measures each. It's A minor, C, A minor, C. Okay, so it's just... Those of you with good ears, you may have heard that measures 3 and 4 sounded slightly different than 1 and 2. Okay, measures 1 and 2, my right hand was on strings 5, 4, 3, 2, which is A, D, G, B. When I got to measures 3 and 4, in all 6 examples, my index, middle, and ring finger switched up to the G, B, and E strings. Okay, so the first 6 examples, measures 1 and 2, are always going to be these inner 4 strings for A minor, inner 4 strings for C major, and then 5, 3, 2, 1 for the A minor, and 5, 3, 2, 1 for the C major. That's in all 6 of these examples. All of these notes you see here are just the notes that spell out these chords. If you look at the first measure, it goes A, E, A, C. That's an A minor chord. Second measure, C, E, G, C. Third measure, you'll notice that what happens is we lose the note on the D string and we add a note on the high E string. So here it's still an A minor chord. A, C, E for measure 3. And measure 4 is C, G, C, E. Okay? So, and don't move your hand away like I just did. You're going to want to actually, when we actually play these, it's going to be like this. Hand doesn't move, okay? So let me show you the first example. It's going to be the first 2 bars on the inner 4 strings, and then the last 2 bars, 3 and 4, on 5, 3, 2, 1. And then what happens on all 6 of these is just the order of whatever fingers we stroke affects the sound of the piece, right? It's gonna just mix up the order of the notes, which is really good for your right hand. So let me play number 1 for you so you can hear it. I'll play all of them for you. So here's number 1. Now I switched up. Now number 2 is the same thing, just different order. So that was the first 6. Let's talk about 7 and 8 now. 7 and 8, I just mixed it up a little bit. Instead of having the transition with your right hand string orientation or string placement switch before we switch the chords, I had you do the switching within the same chord and then you switch chords. So for instance, number 7. Also, these are in 12/8. So you're going to feel 4 dotted quarter notes. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12/8, right? You've all heard this kind of a sound, right? That's 12/8. So in this case, though, we're going to go E, I, M, A, M, I, and then switch. Stay on A minor, but switch up to the G, B, E. So it's kind of a cool sound. Let me play it for you. I'm going to slow the metronome down just so that now we have dotted quarter notes instead of regular quarter notes. So it's going to be da 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 da. One more time. Number 8, same concept, just a little bit of a different fingering. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's page 49. The most important thing is to get this right hand looking good. Okay, so remember to arch it, thumb is out in front of your fingers. You can barely put your fingertip kind of underneath the underside of the string, and remember to pull your fingertip back like you're coming in towards the back of your palm. You can practice it with pre-placement where you put your hands back down, or practice it from the air. And start mixing up these patterns and having fun with them. So you can also apply these over the strum rhythms that we learned on 47, 48. Meaning just pick any one of these right hand patterns and any one of these progressions, and you'll hear they sound very different than strumming them. For example, I'll do 35 on 48, and if I just pick a simple arpeggio pattern, you can put your fingers wherever you want, any spacing of those chords. It just gives it a nice feel instead of going. These are very useful. Enjoy.